everyone, welcome back to another video. I've got something a little bit different for you today. Got 5 steps to success for riding on rollers. Now, we're in the depths of winter, it's quite cold outside, and with it being dark a lot of the time, icy, it's not always safe to go outside, so that's where indoor training can come in. Now, whilst turbo training is fantastic, rollers to me are the better tool to use for keeping the training going through the winter and focusing on specific things. So, without further ado, let's get on to the first steps to success. With riding on rollers, it takes practice. I've had mine for 4 years, I think, and it took me a long time to get properly comfortable on them. It's not like riding a bike outside. It's almost like relearning how to ride a bike, because the physics of riding on rollers are quite different. You've got different inertia, and it's tough. I must admit, do always, when you are starting off, make sure you have something to lean against. Even now, 4 years later, I have a table and a worktop to rest against, just in case, because you never know when you drift concentration slightly. Next thing, you're right at the edge of the rollers and you're probably gonna fall off. So even after all this time, still got to concentrate, but don't expect too much of yourself straight away, because like I said, it's quite tough to get used to riding on them. Your legs as well will take time to adapt, so if you've got a power meter, you might find at first that actually your numbers are quite low because of the different nature of pedaling on rollers. You have to maintain a smooth pedal stroke all the way around. After, I think, perhaps it was about 2 months, something like that, of riding on the rollers, I finally started to see my numbers kind of matching what it would be outside. Because before then it was like 30-40 watts lower, even at what felt like threshold to me. So it's quite the adjustment gap to get used to. But in time, your legs will get used to it, and you might find that actually improving your pedaling efficiency on the rollers has drastic improvements for your pedaling efficiency outside as well. Something that I've always noticed is that when I've been riding the rollers quite a bit, I find it very easy to maintain a smooth pedaling action when I'm outside. Step number 2 would be, make sure you get your wheels spinning nice and quickly. If you're struggling with balance at first, try and shift into a bigger gear just to get the wheels spinning around, because you'll find it's so much easier to balance. And if you imagine riding outside really slowly, you're gonna start struggling to balance. That is just massively multiplied when you're riding on rollers. So do try and work on getting the wheels spinning around a bit quicker. Got a bit more of the inertia and strange physical properties of bicycles. That effect is working more so when the wheels are spinning faster on the rollers. So just try and focus on that, and hopefully you should be balancing all right. Third step to success for riding on the rollers is making sure that you can walk before you run, in cycling terms. Don't start doing crazy 150, 200 RPM sprint efforts like you see the professional track cyclists doing on the rollers before you know and feel confident that you can maintain a steady effort, keeping nice and balanced, because you might find that pedaling so ridiculously fast you will be wobbling all over the place, which could potentially lead you to going off, which wouldn't be very good. So one thing that, if you are looking to start building efforts like that in, make sure that your saddle height is set right so that you're not rocking your hips when you're pedaling, because going at those speeds, the rocking will be massively exaggerated, which again could probably lead you to come off. So just make sure your saddle height is set correctly, and that should help keep you a bit more balanced doing those efforts. Step number 4, use the rollers to complement your training through the winter. Don't use them exclusively. Whilst they are a fantastic training tool, they just can't replicate the feeling of riding outside, say going up a 10-15% incline where you're having to put a huge effort in, say out of the saddle. Whilst you can ride out of the saddle on rollers, you can't replicate that lack of inertia that you've got cycling up a steep hill when you are on these flat rollers. So when you do get the chance to ride outside, when the weather's alright, make the most of those opportunities, because come spring, when you do really need to be putting in those sharp efforts up the hills, you will be grateful for doing so. Because if you just use the rollers through the winter, your legs are going to forget what it's like to do those efforts, and you probably will find yourself struggling despite your power numbers actually probably being quite good, the feeling of cycling in that terrain will have gone from your legs, so you will find yourself struggling to keep up probably. Last but not least, step number 5. Try and get some rollers like mine that have resistance built into them. While ordinary rollers are alright, I suppose, for training, they do kind of have a ceiling where you're having to pedal ridiculously fast to hit any kind of respectable power numbers. Whereas with mine, if I put these on the highest resistance setting, it is a real struggle. So these kind of cross the gap between ordinary rollers and a turbo trainer, where you can put huge sprint efforts in on a turbo. So it's a bit more expensive, but I think really it's a worthwhile investment if you can spend that little bit extra, because you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting all the resistance of the turbo trainer and the interactiveness, the balancing, core strength, pedaling efficiency, and bike paddling skills benefits that you get with rollers. So worthwhile investment, I think, really. Alright, that's my 5 steps to success for riding on the rollers. Hope you found them useful. Hope it's reignited your passion for riding on the rollers. If you enjoyed the video, a like would be very much appreciated. Subscribe as well if you want to see some more. And I'm going to crack on with my session now, so I'll see you in the next video.